I talk a lot on this channel about the Kaleidescape movie player system, and I also talk about video processors like a madVR or a Lumagen. And one of the questions that I've seen posed quite a few times actually in the comments, and I've discussed it as well in a handful of consulting sessions, is a person has a home theater, they want to take it up to the next level. What should they buy? Should they get a Kaleidescape? Or should they get a madVR? Unfortunately, the answer to that question I don't think boils down to any single one answer. It really could be either or the other. It's a really big it depends. So let's talk in this video, puzzle through some of the thought process and concepts about where would you spend your money. I think right off the bat, the thing to really think about is what kind of value add are you trying to put into your home theater, your home entertainment space? What kind of problems potentially or challenges are you trying to solve? And really, what do you want out of it? So I would say for the Kaleidescape, if you want high fidelity delivered content for your theater, you want something better than streaming, and you probably or likely have been a physical media user, I think if you fit this persona, but you're tired of discs, you're tired of storing them, you're tired of handling them, you're tired of waiting through FBI warnings and trailers and all of that stuff to get to your content. You're tired of waiting to see if and when a movie might actually be released on physical media. And beyond that, if you're ripping your discs, making MKVs and putting the stuff on local media servers and dealing with some of the complexities of Plex and other media server solutions, and you're just flat out tired of all of that stuff, man, Kaleidescape in an instant can wipe all of that out of your life, providing basically amongst the nicest, most elegant, easy to use, highest quality, has a ton of content, gets all the content early, experience for movie watching, and increasingly so for television shows that you can get. So if the value proposition of any of that is resonating with you, then you really may just want to consider the Kaleidescape. On the other hand, for your home theater, let's assume that you've got a projection-based setup. Let's assume that you've got a scope screen. You're trying to make the most out of it with content at different aspect ratios, sometimes different aspect ratios within the same movie. You've got a Sony or an Epson or some other projector than a JVC that really isn't giving HDR its true justice. And you just want to sit down in your theater, let all of these like video-based entanglements get taken care of automatically, as well as be guaranteed that you're going to absolutely maximize the video performance out of whatever source you may be connecting in that home theater space, well, then you may just want to consider the processor, the Lumagen or the madVR instead. And that goes particularly if you're using physical media and you're happy with physical media and you remain wanting to be committed to buying discs and using discs such that you don't necessarily want to take your movie ownership and all of that online with a digital movie store. So I'll toss out a couple other caveats, some additional food for thought. And one of those being that there's an opportunity cost to maybe say delaying your entry into the Kaleidescape ecosystem. And what I mean by that is, let's say that you go a different route, or you say, well, I'm going to buy a Kaleidescape next year or in 18 months or whatever it might be. Well, what are you going to do to watch your movies during the course of those 18 months? Let's say that you're buying a new movie twice a month or so, maybe 3 movies a month, new releases that you want to watch at home. The longer you wait to introduce the Kaleidescape, are you really going to wait perhaps to watch all of those films? No, more than likely, as you wait to get the Kaleidescape, you're going to continue buying those movies on disc, when in the long run, you may have preferred to actually been buying them in the Kaleidescape store. So there's a certain opportunity cost that comes into the monetary equation of it by waiting for the Kaleidescape versus going ahead and moving into the ecosystem right away. The sooner you get into the K system, I guarantee you will be buying your new content there and it will all be stable. You'll have it, you'll own it, and later on you won't be looking to migrate in or double buy new content that you could have just bought in K to begin with during whatever that interim period may be. Also keep in mind that Kaleidescape runs regular sales. Every week there's a pretty decent amount of movies on sale, bundles and all of that. Certain times of the year like Black Friday, holiday time, and more. There's really large sales in the Kaleidescape store. Missing out on those because you waited to perhaps join the ecosystem could mean spending more on content later on if you really want it, or waiting around for another sale or another big sales event to come around. On the other hand, when it comes to the video processors, keep in mind actually this is a pretty decent time overall, I would say, to strongly consider a madVR. We just had the new models announced. They're looking awesome. I think a great step, an evolution forward for their products and their platform. And so if you want to buy the latest, greatest model of something, what better time than pretty much when that new model is coming to market to make sure that you get the maximum legs, the maximum amount of use of it over time. So if you're going to go the video processor route and you've decided that madVR is the one that you would choose, again, no better time to buy the new one than now. Or if you are deliberately thinking of madVR and you wanted to catch a deal, keep in mind that existing customers will be turning over their devices. So the first generation madVRs, they're being traded in. They're going to be sold. People will be upgrading to the new model. There's going to be a bit of a rush of the prior generation madVRs to the market and to the used market. And so it could be a really great time here to go ahead and sweep up one of those. Lumagen, of course, is out there as well. I'm not aware of any specific logistical reasons to either move or hold on a Lumagen video processor if you were considering that brand instead. The unique moment in time kind of really only exists for the madVR. Now, if you watch my content regularly, you know I have a Kaleidescape. I've been a Kaleidescape customer for several years now, and still as of this recording, I don't own a video processor. I had my chance to demo and use a Lumagen. I really learned a lot, and particularly made me really Jones, I think, to have a video processor in my system. I'm sure I'll get one. It's just a matter of which one and when. But I did personally make the decision to go the Kaleidescape route before a video processor some years ago. And bringing it all back together to the concepts that I was talking about earlier in the video, the reasons that I chose the Kaleidescape are very much what I've talked about. I was done with physical media. I didn't want to mess with it. I didn't want to buy discs, and I was tired of ripping and maintaining a ripped library of content. I wanted to make it easy. I wanted to make it accessible to myself and the family. And in the first iteration of my home theater, I had a 16:9 screen. I didn't have to deal with lens memories and shifting aspect ratios. And right off the bat, I was very quickly into a JVC NX projector. Frame by frame tone mapping. It looks great. It's worked great. And so you roll basically those two benefits together. For me, it was a very easy decision, I think, to Jones after wanting to get a Kaleidescape first and early and come back around to considering a video processor later. Now, of course, I have the scope screen. I would really like to get rid of some of the integration challenges of managing those aspect ratios and perhaps power up the fidelity of my system with the video processor, and those would be the reasons that I would be moving into one at some point here in the near future. I think the reality is that if you're honestly considering kind of either one of these things for your system, again, a Kaleidescape or a madVR or a Lumagen, you've probably got a really nice home theater to begin with. You've probably already spent a decent amount of money in there, and let's just assume that you probably have the means to justify buying any of these devices to begin with. As always, I don't recommend stretching yourselves financially for these types of things, and absolutely don't go into debt. Don't go borrowing money for this kind of stuff at all. That said, again, if you're knocking on the door of either one of these devices, or this is a decision that you're trying to make for your system, I think the reality is you will probably end up with both of these in your system in the long run. Very likely will be the case for me as well. In some ways, it doesn't really boil down necessarily, I think, to a question of one or the other. It's really a matter, perhaps more so, of which one are you going to buy first, and what's the value proposition of having that one ahead of the other one, particularly depending on what kind of amount of time may pass before you're able to complete the acquisition of both of those devices. Hopefully this video helps you out. Sound off in the comments. Is this a debate that you're having? Are you trying to make this decision? Did some of the things that I've talked about here help you? What other questions do you have? Did you make this decision for yourself? Do you have a Kaleidescape or a video processor and you chose to go with one or the other only, or first more than likely? Sound off in the comments, share your story, share your thoughts, share your analysis, and help the other folks that are in the same boat that you may have been in before. Of course, if you would like to buy a Kaleidescape, you would like to buy a madVR, wouldn't you know, I have an audio advice affiliate relationship available down below. Click through to them. Supports the channel in an awesome way. Doesn't cost you anything extra and guarantees that you will get awesome sales, service, and support from Audio Advice. If you'd like to consider a Lumagen, I can give some referrals to that as well. Just ask and let me know. And all the other stuff is down there as well. Super thanks, tipping options, and Amazon affiliation links as well. Otherwise, please do all that regular YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, hit the bell, leave those comments. It really means a lot to the channel. And come on back for more home theater discussion and fun.